This is Allan Arkush, and thank you for meeting me here at my local mall for this episode of The Last Reel. This is where and how we all go to the movies in 2026. It's almost showtime, so we should get something to eat. Food court is a cornucopia of cuisines. There's just so many choices. 15 screens in a variety of formats for just $24 a ticket. Clearly, that's not what makes this mall special. We are on hallowed ground. Buried right below my feet are the remains of the legendary 20th Century Fox Pictures backlot, born in 1935 of the merger of Fox Films and 20th Century Pictures. They made 1,500 movies here until the studio was killed and buried by the cost overruns of Cleopatra. By 1961, that movie was a production and a financial nightmare, a near bankruptcy, and all this filmmaking land was sold off and it became this mall in 1964. I thought it was appropriate to start this reel here in this graveyard of Hollywood glory's past because of what this reel is all about. It's all about getting together with family and friends, sharing a meal, and then watching a film. So, welcome to my Hollywood story, Dinner and a Movie.
2 or 3 times a week, Max would haul up that enormous oil painting that had been presented to her by some Nevada Chamber of Commerce. And we'd see a movie, right in her living room. So much nicer than going out, she'd say. But sometimes as we watched, she'd clutch my arm or my hand, forgetting she was my employer, just becoming a fan, excited about that actress up there on the screen. They were always her pictures. That's all she wanted to see.
Still wonderful, isn't it? And no dialogue. We didn't need dialogue. We had faces. Haven't they got any eyes? Have they forgotten what a star looks like? I'll show them. I'll be up there again, so help me.
In Dinner and a Movie, we're going to explore the history of watching movies at home. From Hollywood of the 1920s to today, movies at home have replaced movie night at the mall. 30 years before Sunset Boulevard, that moguls started having screening rooms built into their homes. First, it was to catch up on dailies and rough cuts that they couldn't get to on the studio lot, but then they added the cachet of entertaining their stars and producers with a sumptuous buffet followed by a sneak preview of the studio's latest. The meals were lavish, usually catered by Chasen's or the Brown Derby, and the wine flowed and the company was stellar. An invitation to the home of a true epicure were highly prized. You were part of the inner circle when you were invited to the home of Marlene Dietrich when she prepared her German specialties for guests like you, Ernst Lubitsch, and John Wayne. Audrey Hepburn's kitchen skills included growing tomatoes in her garden for her justifiably famous spaghetti alla cieca. Food was always featured in Alfred Hitchcock's films. His quiche Lorraine recipe co-starred with Cary Grant in To Catch a Thief.
This is the quiche Lorraine. I think you'll enjoy this.
Quiche Lorraine, yes, I've heard of it. I never had it, though. It looks delicious.
Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful. The pastry is as light as air.
Ah, well, Germaine has very sensitive hands, an exceedingly light touch.
Yes, I can tell.
She strangled a German general once. Without a sound.
But no host could match the highest paid man in America, the head of MGM, Louis B. Mayer. His fiefdom was spread over 20 sound stages on 400 acres. In his mind, he was the patriarch. All 4,500 of his employees were his children. His very special children, more stars than there are in heaven. Like any family of Hollywood royalty, on Sunday at one of LB's two houses, there was brunch, followed by tennis and swimming, an early evening buffet, and the studio's finest on his home screen. So, it's 1936. Dinner and a movie. The same movie that I screened after dinner for my friends 87 years later. The screwball comedy smash, Libeled Lady. This is my kind of comedy. Clever writing, overlapping dialogue, a tight ensemble who play to each other, and rambunctious direction.
I tell you I can't go now. The paper's in a jam. We're facing a libel suit.
Well, you're facing a breach of promise suit. If you don't want to marry me, just say so.
Glad you're getting yourself all upset, darling, over here. A little drinky, maybe.
No, not today I don't. Today I get married. Will you marry me?
Well, Connie,
Will you, Bill?
Will I? Is there a preacher in the house? Gladys, do you want me to kill myself?
Did you change your insurance?
Would I ask you to do this thing for me if I didn't consider you practically as my wife?
Well, would you ask your wife to hook up with that ape?
The ape objects.
Jean Harlow became more popular than Garbo and Joan Crawford.
They're married, all right.
Well, but that's arson.
You mean it's bigamy? Well, what a story. Constance Allenbury marries bigamist.
If you publish that, you'll have another libel suit on your hands. I'm not a bigamist.
You married me, didn't you?
Well,
Harlow and Powell were engaged at Christmas, but she passed away that summer. And Spencer was mad about Myrna, but to no avail.
say, I wouldn't try to steal Gladys if she were the last female on Earth. Female, huh? That does it. You can't stand there and insult Gladys. You know, you've had this coming for a long time, Sheriff.
Yes, and I've been looking forward to
We'll
it.
settle it right now.
With interest.
Yeah.
This is the perfect example of they don't make them like that anymore. That takes care of our exposition, backstory, and premise. A private screening is not the same experience as going to the movies. That said, the basics of a film print, projector, and a screen entered my life in 1968 at NYU Film School. Kind of like Jimmy Stewart's setup, but funkier. I mean, I'm talking about my generation. I was a 20-year-old sophomore living at 2nd Avenue and 10th Street. Our Moguls mansion was 3 blocks away on St. Mark's Place, right next door to the Electric Circus. It was a 6th-floor walk-up. And when you caught your breath and looked around, you couldn't help but notice that there was no furniture, just film cans, hundreds of them, an RCA 400 projector, and a whitish sheet thumbtacked to the ceiling. That was our screen. The host, projectionist, and curator was my NYU and Fillmore East compatriot, John Davison. The films were of dubious origin. Some had fallen off a truck, some were stolen, borrowed, but all were cherished. They had found a home. Now the irony is, they are all in the vaults of the Motion Picture Academy, so there's a happy ending. I've not forgotten our premise, dinner and a movie. But back in the day, we didn't dine in Beverly Hills. We ate on 2nd Avenue, or as was called 100 years ago, Yiddish Broadway. So before a double bill, you might stock up on pierogi from Veselka, macrobiotic from the Cauldron, and egg cream from Gem Spa. But more than likely, you ate at that little diner at the center of the universe, the legendary B&H Dairy. It was the meeting place for the hippies, the yippies, the beatniks, and the poets. Mushroom barley soup, borscht, a white fish salad sandwich, or the platonic ideal of grilled cheese. All for under $1.50. It opened in the 1940s, and I still eat there to this day. Our East Village Cinémathèque Française is where my future began to happen because I was introduced to the films of Roger Corman and my North Star, Hellzapoppin. I really think that this is the right context to discuss Hellzapoppin. It's very, very weird, absolutely surreal, meta, postmodern. It's a self-referential bonanza of jokes. Look, I love comic anarchy. The Marx Brothers, Frank Castle and Jerry Lewis, early Richard Lester, and Soupy Sales. And of course, I love music numbers. In 1938, it was a hit on Broadway, 1,500 performances. The movie studio was worried that the test version was just too confusing. So they did reshoots and editing, which did nothing to change this unique movie. It bears up on repeated viewings because it's wildly chaotic, boundary pushing, and truly cinematic. Now pay attention. There are 3 levels. Level number 1, there's the movie. Number 2, the shenanigans behind the making of the movie. And finally, level number 3, the uber analytical gags that keep reminding you that it is a movie. Here's the best part. It's that rare cinematic spice that makes a double bill taste better. I have seen it on a double bill with The Trip, Confessions of an Opium Eater, and best of all, with 8.5 and a room full of the Grateful Dead and their roadies. Really?
This is Hellzapoppin.
Naturally, it was a big influence on Hollywood Boulevard. We shamelessly stole dialogue and gags. Rock and Roll High School. Remember the giant mice? And the original title for Get Crazy was Hellzapoppin. I love this movie. By 1972, the NYU class of 1970 had moved to Los Angeles one by one to work for Roger Corman. After my stint in the psychedelic rock and roll business, I was driving a cab. But with their support and encouragement, I made the move. I arrived in LA on October 3rd, 1974. I was gonna live in Los Angeles. I was in California, but not here. Nope, I lived here on the sketchy side of Hollywood. My friends John Davison and Jonathan Kaplan got me a job in Corman World for $50 a week. And on my first day in March of 1974, I met Joe Dante. And this was, starting in 1974, the Roger Corman trailer making factory.
Consisting of 2 people making trailers, him and me.
Yeah, and between 74 and 79, my first day when I came here was 50 years ago. Okay, I'm okay. And here's what was being edited. Well, I can just give you guys historical context. Candy Striped Nurses, Cage Heat, and drive-in classic called Cries and Whispers. It's time for me to officially introduce you to 7010 Lexington. It was owned by the director Curtis Hanson, who rented it to John Davison, who passed it on to me in about 1975. And the first piece of furniture I got was an RCA 400 projector and a couple of beanbag chairs. We saw hundreds of movies here. It became our Cinematheque West. You're probably wondering, where did all those movies come from? This vault was at the very heart of the matter. On its way from John's 6th floor walk up in the East Village, it grew. And it grew again with the collections of Tim Hunter and Joe Dante. This vault was curated by the omnivorous taste of the film school generation. Between 1975 and 1980, I saw 1,885 movies. Now, how do I know? I kept track of them on file cards. I still have them all. Each file card is a month, and to fill them up, the Corman gang went to repertory theaters, action movies on Hollywood Boulevard, the classy stuff in Westwood, and secret midnight screenings of rarities at the Gordon. Plus, we saw every movie made by and offered to New World Pictures. We didn't just watch movies, we studied them, we edited them, and we shot second unit. It was intense, it was full time. But Roger Corman was our Obi-Wan.
Action!
Watching a rough cut with Roger is an amazing experience. He is the most astute filmmaker in being able to tell you what's wrong with the scene, how to fix it, but also what you did wrong when you shot the scene and how to never do that again. It's a tough audience, but it is the graduate course, okay? So the film ends, and Roger turns to me and says, Allan, I think you need to study composition a little more. You need to balance your foreground, your midground, and your background. You should study the films of David Lean, Bridge over the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia. I'm kind of shocked, and I blurt out, but Roger, we made this in 3 days. And then John says, Roger, David Lean will wait 3 days for the clouds to be right. Boys, it doesn't cost any more time or money to do a good composition as a bad one. Lesson learned. Where did these films come from and how did they get chosen? From the 1950s to the 1970s, 16mm prints like these were shown at libraries, colleges, churches, revival houses, but most of all on television. Often, prints would go missing and a gray market developed. Dealers sold them for anywhere between $30 and $250. Young collectors started buying up their favorites. But the biggest marketplace was a newsletter called The Big Reel. Each month, the Big Reel was stuffed with hundreds of ads to sell, buy, and trade films. And that's where our final film came from. In 1974, John and Joe saw an ad in the Big Reel for a rare Frank Borzage film, Moonrise, for $40. Now, being the Frank Borzage enthusiast, the question came to me, is it worth $40? Backstory. At NYU, I saw the 1929 Oscar winner, Seventh Heaven, followed by another great picture called Lucky Star. And with the help of Andrew Sarris's American Cinema book, I vowed to see every single Frank Borzage film extant. But I hadn't yet seen Moonrise.
get off.
Hey, let us out of here, will you?
Dan!
Hold on, I gotta get off.
Dan, what is it?
I'm being followed. I gotta get off.
Gilly? Gilly? Get me out of here.
They're looking for Dr. Peabody.
No. No, Doctor. Get me out of here. I'm all right. Gilly, get me out of here.
All right, darling, I'll try.
$40. And 52 years later, we are still watching and studying the films of Frank Borzage. Moonrise and History Had Made at Night are both now available on Criterion. See, movies have come to your home. Thanks for coming by. Everyone is downstairs having dessert. Well, almost everyone. This is Allan Arkush with an open invitation for you to come by for dinner and a movie anytime you'd like on The Last Reel.